What's up, Melanated family? This is your boy Harrison, man, bringing y'all a brand new episode of my show, the Melanated Convo podcast. I'd like to welcome everybody for tuning in to another episode of the show. What's going on, y'all? It's been a long week, a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna make sure we get into a little bit of everything. If this is your first time listening to the show, what I do here is a few things. We like to talk about black businesses. It's extremely important to me to discuss black businesses, where you can find them. If they're qualified, just putting on the map as many black businesses as we can. The health of our community, in my opinion, is almost solely dependent upon how we spend our funds, who we spend our funds with. So we make it a point here to talk about black businesses. I try to present businesses from all around the United States, but sometimes we talk about business a little more locally, just based on the fact that I'm familiar with them or they reached out to me personally. But at the end of the day, we're typically talking about businesses that you can find anywhere in the United States. Another thing that we do here on the show is we talk about different news stories, different things going on in black society, in melanated society, whatever that may be, man. If it's a little bit of politics, we'll dip into that. Anything going on with our people that I feel has a adverse effect on how we live our day-to-day lives, or if it's just information we need to know, or sometimes just information that I think is interesting, right? Also, what we do on the show is we have a topic of the day, right? I spend 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the show just talking about something in particular that I think is important, something in particular that I've gathered from the news that I think all of us need to discuss. Today, we're going to talk about the negative effects of cancel culture, and I talk about that solely based on looking at everything Ice Cube is going through, just for simply deciding to go to the White House and talk to the president's people. From my understanding, he didn't even sit down and talk with Trump per se. He's just sitting down and talking to Trump's people, because as we know, in black society, we need a lot of help. And if we have these two candidates that we have to choose from, if we're going to go to somebody to figure out how they can help us, or go to somebody with a plan, who else are we to go to? Now, I completely understand how politicians have failed us year after year, decade after decade when it comes to certain things. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to go to the table. And in my opinion, Cube did it the right way. So at the end of the show, we're going to touch on a little bit about the cancel culture and how he is being negatively affected by that, right? Because, I don't like a lot of the shit that's going on with Cube, so we're gonna talk about that, right? So let's get into it, family. How's everybody doing, man? If this is your first time tuning into the show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. What you'll find on that YouTube channel, you'll have this show, of course. We also have the History Matters section on the YouTube channel. The History Matters section goes over a lot of different people, places, and things from our history. I do videos on these occurrences just to keep you guys up to date on things some of you have known already, some of you may not know. But again, it's important, in my opinion, if we're gonna move forward as a community, it's extremely important that we understand where we've been, so we can have a clear picture of where we're going, right? So let's get into it, family. I'm ready to do it moving today, man. Let's go. All right, so news stories, businesses is what I touch on first. Businesses is what I touch on first. And like I said, each business I give a 2-week run. So for 2 weeks, I talk about the same business. I don't charge for this service, so if you know any businesses out there that need free advertisement, please hit me up. Any black businesses you know that need free advertisement, hit me up. I'll talk about them for 2 weeks in a row on the show. As of right now, I don't charge for this service. I just want to see as many black people get their business out there, right? And of course, I'm always looking for qualified businesses, meaning businesses that have a website, businesses that conduct themselves professionally. Again, when I talk about us doing business with each other, I don't mean just spend your money with somebody black just because they're black, right? It's important that you are getting a quality product. So I can get a quality product from over here that's a business that may be white, Asian, or otherwise, and you are black and you have that same business. I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna go to you as a tiebreaker, right? So we're not gonna spend our money with each other just to support a black business. I know that doesn't sound right, but it's important that we go to qualified black businesses. And if you do go to a black business and you realize they didn't do something correctly, maybe your order wasn't right, or there was some unprofessionalism in there a little bit, my ask of all of you guys is, instead of going on social media and blasting them out or talking hella negatively about them to friends of yours, go to their website, Leave them a comment somewhere. Figure out a way to tell them behind closed doors what they're doing wrong. They may just give you a free product. They may be completely apologetic about what took place, right? If we seriously want to see these businesses be healthy and thrive, we have to conduct ourselves a certain way. So I'm not telling you to just accept no service that you don't like, but at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, give them the benefit of the doubt, like we would do with other companies. You know what I mean? A lot of us, when it comes to our local grocery store, when it comes to a Walmart or whatever type of franchise supermarket you have around you, we go through things with these companies where they don't do us right, or we have a scenario where the food wasn't right, or the product wasn't right. We was treated hella unprofessionally, and most of us still go back to that company. You know what I mean? So I just want us to give our brothers and sisters the same leeway we would give anybody else, right? So let's get it going. Now, first business, right? Like last week and weeks prior, I come on here and I talk about the different murders that happen in my city. I talk about the different bouts of police brutality where unfortunately some of our brothers and sisters don't make it and they end up losing their life, right? So this is an uncomfortable topic to a degree, but it's extremely important that we come to the realization that these are services that we may need one day, and we need to do our best to prepare. So both of my businesses today will have something to do with preparing for when ultimately you won't be here anymore, right? So the first company is Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home, which is located right here in Sacramento, California, where I am. Like I said before, typically I like to do businesses that are nationwide, where anyone in any state in the country can access this business. But this business is close to my heart. It's my family's business. It's important that we understand, though, the importance of planning for our ultimate demise, or just being aware of anything can happen, y'all. So we need to be aware of what to do. We need to be aware of where to go, right? So they do ship outs to anywhere in the United States, but this is primarily for my people in Sacramento. So Thompson Rose Chapel is a family owned and operated funeral home since 1948, 1947 actually. The gentleman who started the funeral home, Ted Thompson, a really big reason why the name of the building is still the same and everything. He holds a really special place in the Oak Park area. This is a man who was the first mortician in Sacramento. So at a time when black people couldn't get buried at different cemeteries and they couldn't get a proper burial, they couldn't get a proper funeral service, he stepped up to service our community. So the Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home is a pillar of the Oak Park community. Like I said, family owned and operated to this day. Not only can you get full cremation services, you can get full traditional services as well. All types of insurance accepted. Like I said, they do ship outs also. If you're a person in the community, because like I said, this company is heavily rooted in this community. If you're a person in the community and you have a death in the family, unfortunately, just know that there's a heritage program that you can take advantage of. And basically, this heritage program is for anybody that's been loyal to the company, anybody who has had a family member who unfortunately has passed away, and you use Thompson Rose Chapel for that service, you may qualify for the heritage program. So when something happens to someone else in your family, unfortunately, you know what I mean? We still got to be ready for these times. Unfortunately, if something happens to somebody else in your family, you can come. They'll look up the information for that last funeral and you'll get a discount on your funeral services going forward, right? Because we understand how difficult it is in our community where a lot of us don't have life insurance. A lot of us didn't do our due diligence and plan for our final resting place. So what happens is when something does happen, we're doing car washes and we're doing all of these things just to scrounge up the cash. So it's important that we try our best to plan for these things, but just know that you have a local funeral home that'll help you out as much as we can. So again, there's the heritage program for people who had a family member who passed away. Now, if you want to come and we look up that information, you can get a discount. We also want to honor our veterans, right? So if you're a veteran, somebody in your family is a veteran, and something unfortunately happens to them, you can also get 10% off of the services for someone that was a veteran, right? So that's Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home and Mortuary in the Sacramento area. You can go to thompsonrosechapel.com. That's thompsonrosechapel.com. That's thompsonrosechapel.com. You can go to the website today. And I know in our community, this is an uncomfortable conversation, right? Talking about death, talking about our final moments, talking about planning for somebody that would die. But family, it's extremely important that we think ahead, just so when something unfortunately does happen, we're not scrounging to get the money. We're not going through all of this turmoil family wise because we didn't plan for this day to come, or we didn't plan well enough for this day to come, right? So go to thompsonrosechapel.com. That's thompsonrosechapel.com. Also, we do pre-planning. So if you have a family member who doesn't have life insurance, and for whatever reason, let's say they don't want to do life insurance or just have no interest in doing it, there are prepayment plans you can set up as well. So tell your older family members that if they just feel comfortable working directly with the funeral home, they can decide exactly which services they want to have for their final resting place, and then you can set up a payment arrangement where you begin paying on that, right? So there are several options available, but the point is, it's important for us to get a little more comfortable with these conversations in our families, so when the unfortunate time comes for someone that's important to us to leave this earth, we're not scrambling to try to figure out what to do, right? So go to Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home. I'm sorry, ThompsonRoseChapel.com is the website. You can go there for more information. There's a lot of resources on the website. So if you don't know how life insurance works, if you don't know how the pre-planning process works, if you don't know how planning for a funeral works, like on the website, it's extremely resourceful. A lot of resources on there just talking about the whole process from A to Z. So go to Thompson Rose Chapel today just to get some more information. Again, if you have a family member who you guys are expecting to be, that's not going to live much longer, you can call, which is 916-455-3038, 916-455-3038. You can call just to get information, whatever makes you feel comfortable. The staff at this facility is extremely nice. Everybody is professional, and we'll do the best job possible to make these moments special for you. Because this is something I've learned just by being around the business. This is the type of business where you don't really have a second chance to make a first impression, right? So it's extremely important that you get it right from every little detail. These families are going through a lot, so the staff at Thompson Rose Chapel does a great job of using empathy and thought and compassion to deal with your family members. So go to ThompsonRoseChapel.com. Check it out today. Now, the next business, which coincides with that business, right? A brother that I'm aware of that helped me get my life insurance, his name is Janssen Brooks, right? He's a life insurance agent here in the Sacramento area, but he can help you out anywhere you are in the country. And that's JanssenBrooks.com. Janssen is JANSSEN Brooks.com. That's JanssenBrooks.com. He can help you out anywhere you are in the United States. He can help you get whole life insurance for someone who's between, who's first born, 85 years old. You get whole life protection, no medical exam, few health questions, coverage never decreases, premium never increases, which is important. So whatever you decide to pay per month, that'll be your payment for the duration, right? Some policies he can set you up with build cash value as well. So this is having life insurance to secure, like we were just talking about with Thompson Rose Chapel. When you get life insurance, you won't have to worry about how you're going to get buried or who needs to pay for what. It creates a really comfortable environment where you have an unfortunate situation where someone in your family is no longer here. Now you have to deal with the specifics surrounding their death. It makes it a lot easier if the financing part of it is taken care of. Then you can be at ease and just deal with the grieving process without dealing with finances and all the other stuff, right? So that's JanssenBrooks.com. My brother can help you out with an insurance plan today. He has different types of insurance plans. He went over a lot of them with me when he set me up with mine. So he's a close associate of mine, but I believe in the brother. So if anybody out there just wants a quote, like a life insurance quote, please go to my brother's website. It's JanssenBrooks.com. That's JANSSEN Brooks.com. Brooks is BROOKS. Now we talk a lot about Black Pride. We talk a lot on my show. These are things that I make sure that I cover. Black Pride, empowering each other, being positive, being unified, being a revolutionary, like caring about what goes on in black culture or melanated society. And that's true. Everybody should do that. But another part of being a revolutionary, another part of taking care of the community right? It's taking care of your family directly, and life insurance plan is a great way to, even a small way to create wealth in your family. If your policy is big enough, your death could mean the start of something financially feasible for your family, as far as them buying a house or them starting their own business, whatever the case may be. It's important that we all have life insurance, y'all. For the amount of money that we pay for food during the week, or the amount of money that we pay for some Jordans or all these other materialistic things, you can get a damn near $1 million life insurance plan for the amount of money some of us pay for frivolous shit. You know what I mean? So it's extremely important that we think about our future. It's extremely important that we think about our family, right? What happens if our untimely demise takes place and we don't have life insurance, we don't have anything set up? We're really causing a burden on our family, and we're not here anymore. So let's think about that, y'all. I mean, you're already in a position where they're going to be grieving. If your family loves you and cares about you, your absence is going to be big enough. Let's not combine your absence with them needing to scramble for finances, right? So go visit my boy, man, JanssenBrooks.com. Get you a life insurance quote. I say, if you don't have life insurance, just get a quote. Even if it's, let's say you don't want it right now. Let's say for whatever reason you don't think you have the money right now. You don't think it's feasible right now. I guarantee you it is, family. I guarantee you it is. Even if you just have to start off with something that'll just cover the funeral costs, right? Even if you don't want to do $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 insurance plan because you don't feel there are people that'll be left behind that need the money, or you don't want to give people the money, whatever the case may be. But please, family, please get some form of life insurance to ease the burden on your family when your untimely demise takes place. Because one thing I know for sure for being around this business is it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen, and the only people left to deal with this will be your family. So let's make it easier on them. Let's get some life insurance, make that transition as smooth as possible. So again, go to JanssenBrooks.com. This is the best way to do it. Go to the brother's website, ask for a quote. Go to the brother's website, ask for a quote under the video. Once I'm done editing the video and everything, I'll put his information under the video as well, so we can all get life insurance. It's important, family. Now, that is it for the businesses. That is it for the businesses. Now, let's talk about the news stories. As always, right? As always, there's a lot of stuff going on. Always a lot of stuff going on. And of course, I pick, different businesses based on how or different news stories based on how I'm feeling, based on what I want to talk about, based on what I think you guys need to know. That's the most important thing for me, family. When I'm looking over different news stories to talk about, I think about what does the family need to hear, right? Because when you're on social media, when we're online, you're just inundated with all type of information being flooded through your timeline. So I try to make sure I present you guys with stuff that's not just impactful, but things that are going to make you think as well, right? So let's get into it, family. Now, this is the story out of Kansas City, Missouri, right? So on September 30th, right, during an altercation with Kansas City, Missouri police, a black woman, a 25-year-old black woman named Deja Stallings, was basically pinned to the ground. Now, this was the kicker about this story, family, is this is a woman who was 9 months pregnant. So feel me when I say this. She's 9 months pregnant. The police, they arrived. I'll get into a little bit what the incident was, but the bottom line was the police had their knee in her back. This is a woman who's 9 months pregnant, right? She's 9 months pregnant. The officer has his knee in her back, arresting her based on some incident that was taking place. Like I said, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But they arrested the young lady. And long story short, she had her baby 2 weeks early, y'all. She had her baby 2 weeks early, and her child, her baby girl, who I'm happy who was actually born, her name is Desiree, and it looks like Desiree went into distress. Her heart rate elevated, right? So she had to be in the intensive care unit. So she's in the intensive care unit right now, based on the incident her mother had to go through with this cop, right? So basically what happened was, and this is as news reports have it, the night of the incident, people were gathering outside of a gas station in downtown Kansas City to commemorate the life of a recent murder victim. So here we go again. They're because another news report said the cops came based on an altercation or a fight that was taking place. But at the end of the day, these people were out there protesting another murder that had just taken place, right? So the irony of all of this, right? So they're out there, and based the 25-year-old Stallings told Yahoo News that the police came down there twice, harassing us. Then they left and came back again, said one man, because they said one man was trespassing. Shortly after the second visit, officers began to break up the crowd and attempted to arrest a man they accused of trespassing, right? So when a situation like that is happening, everybody's running around it, everybody's up in arms, and everybody's a little tense because of the situation. Unfortunately, it seems like police come and they add an already tense situation. It seems like they do a great job of just making the shit worse, right? So they came. Now, like she said, shortly after the second visit, officers began to break up the crowd and attempted to arrest the man they accused of trespassing. During that attempt, Stallings alleged they alleged that she intervened and tried to stop the cop from arresting the other brother, right? And what she says is, she was out there like everybody else trying to record on her phone, because you know our smartphones, our camera is one of the biggest proponents we have right now to defend ourselves against a lot of this fuck shit. So she's out there trying to record when the officer pushed her. Now, when the officer pushed her, she told him, "Don't push me because you don't have the right to push me." He said, "You fucking going to jail." That's when he threw her down on the ground on her stomach and put his knee in her back. So I'm going to read more of what actually happened, family, but it's important that we understand how uncompassionate a lot of these cops are. Now, his sergeant said something like he knew she was pregnant. He tried to put her on her side to make sure it wasn't as bad. The video don't show that. The video don't show that. If you go to melanatedfathers.com, I posted that story on the website. The video don't show that. The video shows he has his knee in her back like he would do anybody in that situation. And again, the amount of aggression that we have to face at the hands of these officers, something has to be done. That's why when people are telling me about the Trump and the Biden thing, yeah, I mean, that's cool, man, but we need to look at the sheriffs that are in place. We need to look at the prosecutors that are in place, because regardless of the president that's in office, this shit ain't gonna stop happening until we start looking at things from a local level. And of course, the unrest and the marching and the protest and the, you know, like I said, I struggle with whether I think we need to continue with the marching and the protests, just based on the fact that sometimes we're marching and protesting about things that society knows is happening to us: police brutality, criminal justice system. The country understands these things. These things are negatively affecting us. But at the end of the day, anything we can do to cause attention to what's going on with us, I'm with it. I'm just not sure if we should continue to do the marching, but whatever. Anything we can do to cause attention to our problems, I'm with it, right? Now, it's also important to know, because sometimes people hit me when I'm posting these stories and I'm posting my videos about how I feel about certain things. People are hitting me saying these cops aren't racist. This is a one-off. Cops do the same thing to white people. Man, that's bullshit. Because the sister's lawyer, and this is something I want to this is something I wanted to read to y'all. The sister's lawyer, her name is Stacy Shaw, right? And Mrs. Shaw says she believes there are deep-rooted issues with the Kansas City Police Department. Said that officers who arrested Stallings is the second officer in the department who has previously killed someone, only to be let back into the community to hurt someone else. Now, this is important, family, because when we talk about these cops, the most important thing here is the amount of protection that they actually get. These police unions, this Blue Lives Matter shit, like, they protect each other like no gang you ever seen in your life, right? Because what she's saying is the officer Shaw is referencing is Kansas City police officer Dylan Pfeiffer, who killed 30-year-old Terrence Bridges, a black man, in May 2019. Pfeiffer was not indicted by a grand jury for the killing. He returned to active duty just 9 days after the shooting. Also, 6 months later, Pfeiffer was involved in an incident in which he was accused of aggressively handcuffing a 15-year-old black teenager and refraining him while his partner, Sergeant Matthew Neal, slammed the boy's face in the ground, breaking his teeth and causing him to need stitches, right? So do you see the pattern here? So we have an officer who obviously has some racial animus. That's how I see it, family. I don't see no other reason why you would treat a human like this, period. If you've been on a job for a long time and now you're desensitized because you've seen all this horrible shit happen, I can understand that. Maybe you need a break, right? Maybe it's time for you to take a leave of absence so you can get your mind right. Go on vacation or something. Begin to humanize yourself so you can see people as just people instead of fucking animals or however you see us. Because obviously it's a black thing. That's what I think. If you look at the FBI, excuse me, and I continue to talk about this, but if you look at the FBI, how they mentioned several times that white supremacist organizations have infiltrated the police departments in the United States, to me, this is just all the more obvious that that's exactly what's going on, right? So let me continue. Now, Shaw identified the officer who arrested Stallings as Blaine Newton, a man Shaw says was responsible for the killing of Donnie Sanders, a 47-year-old black man in March. Newton was not punished for the shooting and returned to active duty shortly thereafter. Now, this reminds me of kind of like the Daniel Cameron situation, right? I only say that, meaning our prosecutors, who we vote in as a prosecutor in our city, in our town, in our state, that's important, y'all. So I think the prosecution, the vote for the prosecutors is like the midterm elections, I think. But we all need to do more and do our due diligence to find out who is the prosecutor in our area and how we can go about making sure the right one get elected in, right? Because at the end of the day, they're responsible for bringing the charges upon these officers. So we need prosecutors who are fair-minded and not racist, right? I think like 95% of prosecutors in the United States are white men, right? So we have a long way to go to creating racial harmony in this world or in this country, but it's important that we continue to call this shit out, family. It's important that we continue to shed light on these incidents so everybody can become mobilized. Because of George Floyd and a lot of the incidents that have happened lately, a lot of black people that I know are more energized about learning about history. They're more energized about learning about the political process. They're just more in tune with what's going on in our community. And that's important because if not, we're going to continue to have these type of incidents. So of course, everybody's looking at this presidential election. And when we talk about Biden or Trump, neither one of these gentlemen will be hard on the police forces. When we look at Trump was mentioning all of the police unions and police organizations that back him. It's like 16, 17 of them, right? So these police unions, they vote as a block. So in order to get their vote, as far as the president is concerned, he's going to do their bidding, man. So it's up to us to keep calling this shit out. It's up to us to be involved in the local elections because what I've read and what I understand about the prosecutors, rarely are they challenged as far as when it's time for them to be elected in. That's not election. That's not the type of election that most cities take real serious or that they publicize a lot like the presidential elections. You know what I mean? So it's important that we get more in tune with what's going on locally, family, so we can have our say. And it's still a difficult situation, right? Because once you find somebody that you feel is right for the job, that you feel is a fair person, then when you elect them in, you have to hold them accountable, which is a term that I don't like because in my opinion, you can't really hold a politician accountable. That's my opinion, because all they got to do is fucking lie. They always lie now. Once they get in there, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Once they get in there, they in there. Once they get there, you can't impeach them or tell them or kick them out or vote in somebody new. So holding them accountable to me is just reminding them what they told you they was gonna do, right? Bringing to light when they're lying. Bringing to light when they're being dishonest. But man, I don't know, y'all. I just have I don't have much faith in this political system, whether it be locally or nationally or federally, but this is the system we're in, so we have to do our best to be a part of the process. And I struggle with that at times, but it's definitely necessary. So shout out to that sister, Deja Stallings. Let's all pray for her baby, that her baby make it out of this safely. But family, they attacking us, they attacking our babies. We have a lot of work to do in this country, but what we need to do, because everybody keeps telling me about who they're going to vote for, first thing we need to do is just care. It's just give a fuck about all these issues. This is why I bring them to you, so you can have an overall feeling like Deja is our sister, period. I don't care what state in this country she in. We all got to get to the point where when we see something like this happen, we're all offended. We all want to see justice. If you in fucking Timbuktu, or you in California, or you in Georgia, wherever you at, you my sister and you my brother, and we need to fight this shit together. I hate some people don't see it's this serious until something happened to them, to something happened to somebody in their family. Then all of a sudden you want to take this shit serious. Then all of a sudden you want to get to marching and you want to get to protesting. But we can start changing our communities before that, family. On a political front, local elections, we need to be involved in who's doing what locally and make it a tradition, make it a habit to be involved in these things and give a fuck. And on a personal level, we got to get involved in our communities. We got to, if you're a positive person in your community, you need to go out and be a mentor to young people. You need to go out and educate young people on how to deal with police. You need to go out and march and protest if you can, just to be in the environment, just to let people know that you're with the community. You feel me? So it's a lot that we can do instead of just trying to hold politicians accountable. We need to hold ourselves accountable too. But situations like this make my fucking stomach turn, because Deja Stalling, that's our sister. And think about that. This is a pregnant black woman. He has her knee in the back of a pregnant black woman. These cops don't give a shit about us, family. Show me a goddamn video of a white cop putting his knee into a pregnant white woman in any environment, under any circumstances. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is a unarmed woman. This is an unarmed woman. It has to be a different way to subdue somebody, especially in her condition, right? So my prayers go out to Deja Stallings and her family. This is an unfortunate situation, but we're going to keep speaking truth to power, family, and bringing this shit to light. You feel me? Now, next story. Let's talk about it. Next story. This is a story out of Florida, Kissimmee, Florida. So a white Florida teacher is out of the classroom, and this is, it's not funny, but these white folks is out of their goddamn mind. So this white teacher is out of the classroom for basically saying that she was entitled, and hear me when I say this, she was on a Zoom call with her class. This is a high school teacher. She says she's entitled to dislike blacks. She was attacked by a gang of blacks on a train in Atlanta as a teenager, right? So check it out. So, social studies teacher Tracy Brown and her students at, forgive me if I say the name wrong, Ponacana High School in Kissimmee, Florida, shows one teen telling her, and basically they were having a conversation about the Constitution, right? During their Zoom call. Somehow they got into politics in the Black Lives Matter movement. One of her students told her that some black people live in communities where cops do not treat them right, and this was during their online discussion. Now that's true for a high school student to be that keen and to have an understanding of what we've been through is a great thing. So the high school student tells her that, and she says, and he asked her, do she understand? Now, she got upset and stopped him and said, stop right there, David. I want to be very clear. What you don't know about me could fill a freaking swimming pool. And I guess what she's basically referring to is when she was 16 years old, while riding a train in Atlanta, she was attacked by a gang. She said using the language of blacks, the startling footage shows. Now, the thing about that is, when she says using the language of blacks, I'm not sure if she's saying she knew they were black by their skin tone and their melanin, or did they have on hoods and shit and they was just using black lingo? I mean, I'm not sure what the fuck that means. Now, she goes on to say, I have as much right as anyone else. See, check out the verbiage. I have as much right as anyone else to dislike blacks for what happened to me. Stop there. Now, think about that, family. To me, some white folks just use excuses not to fucking like us. If I went by every negative interaction I had with somebody white that I felt was racist, and I applied that to my my life experiences with all people that are white, I wouldn't like white folks either. Think about that, y'all. If as black folks, if we would get pulled over and get fucked with, or had a police fuck with us in our community, going into a restaurant where they don't want to seat you right, going into an environment where it's damn near all white people and they're emboldened so they talk to you a little differently. If any of us took that situation and said, okay, I'm not fucking with white people, none of us would have white friends. None of us would be around anybody white at all, right? So I don't like how some white people use the excuse. They come with all these damn non secular ass excuses. And the bottom line is, you just don't like black people. Look what she said. I have the right to not like black people as much as anybody else. The fuck does that really mean? You see what I'm saying? So this is just and this is why I'm bringing this story up, because this is a racist teacher teaching our kids. And think about the concept. So she's teaching the Constitution. Think about the irony in that. So she's teaching the Constitution when this type of argument comes out. So this is black kids in her class. So if she's saying, I don't like people, how the fuck are you gonna use the amount of empathy, the amount of care, the amount of patience with a black student? It's just impossible, right? Now, this lady has been put on a leave of absence, and she ain't been fired. You know how they do them. They don't fire them. They just fucking transfer them. But this is what we up against, family. This is why it's important for me to make sure our kids know about history. This is why we should be at home teaching our kids about what they're looking at, about police brutality, about where we stand in this country, about all the shit that we've been through in this country. We got to tell our kids this shit, because you don't want your kid to not know anything about the racial element in this country and then get faced with a teacher like this. What if your kid was in this Zoom call and you ain't never talked to him about race, you ain't never talked to him about racism, you ain't never talked to him about the history of us in this country? Think about how shell-shocked they would be. Think about how they can think about themselves as less than because they don't know the truth. You see what I'm saying? This is why home education is the root of us getting out of this shit, family. Of course, school is necessary to get us in certain places in society. You should always preach that to your children, that there's nothing wrong with going to school, there's nothing wrong with going to college. You can use that education to further your family's legacy. You can use that education to get in the doors that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. I understand that, but at the end of the day, we can't have people like this teaching our children, right? Now, and she went on to criticize the Black Lives Matter movement, basically saying that by saying, and this is to me, this is just what racist white people say when you approach them with this movement. You say Black Lives Matter. She's saying Black Lives Matter is implying that white lives don't matter, or implying that other lives don't matter, and that's completely false. Everybody who's smart, everybody who has common sense understands where that phrase come from. I've had people tell me, well, the problem with the Black Lives Matter movement, now granted, as an organization, I have problems with them as well, but as an ideology, I get it. Our lives should matter. So when anybody says, hey, they should have just said something else. They should have said Black Lives come first, or they should have said, Black Lives Matter also. All that bullshit, no. If you don't understand what we're saying when we say, hey, systematically we've been treated a certain way in this country, it seems as if our lives don't matter based on the actions of the government. Flat out. If you're dealing with somebody that can't understand that, they probably just don't like black folks and ain't shit you can do for them anyway. That's what this teacher reminds me of, is a white person who just don't like black people. And I want every closeted racist to come out. You know what I mean? That's one small good thing about Donald Trump. He emboldens racist people and family. In my opinion, that's what we need. We don't need no more covert shit. If you don't like me, if you got a problem with me because of my skin color, I kind of need to know that. That can help me. You know what I mean? So I can know who to avoid. So I can know who not to fuck with. You know what I mean? You got your Joe Bidens of the world who is a covert racist, where they don't come out and say they fucking hate you. They just putting policies and plans in place to denigrate your goddamn community and to make sure y'all stay behind everybody else. So I'd rather my racists come out and tell me how they feel about me, right? So hopefully this lady gets fired. Tammy Brown. I'm sorry. What's her name again? Tracy Brown. Hopefully she gets fired. Hopefully she doesn't get rehired. But I'm letting my black parents know, my melanated parents know, this is what we're up against, family. Right? So this is what we're up against. This is why your children need to be aware of the country that we live in. And in public schools, 90% of the teachers in public school is white middle-aged women who don't live around the community. If you in the hood at a public school, that white teacher does not live around there, right? So some of them are dealing with their racial bias. Some of them are dealing with the fact that they never been around black people in large numbers, so they're teaching your kid based on stereotypes, based on shit they see on TV. You know what I mean? This is the world that we live in. Excuse me. And I always ask my black folks, what we gonna do about it, man? What we gonna do about it? You think ain't no Tracy Browns in your kid's school? Think about it. You think it ain't? Now, granted, I'm not saying all white female teachers are out to get your kid, or all white female teachers are racist. I've had some myself that, as I look back, I feel like they were fair people, right? I feel that they looked at me, they seen my color, because that's bullshit when motherfuckers say, I don't see color. Yeah, you do. Everybody do, right? So I've had teachers that I feel that are white, that see color and still tried their best to be good people, but in my opinion, it's not enough of them. So I don't know if teachers need to go through like racial diversity training. I don't know if you need to try to find teachers from that neighborhood to teach. I don't know if you need to put teachers in a situation where they're around black people that maybe you teach them about our culture a little bit. Now, granted, if you're a 30 to 40-year-old adult, you should know about a lot of this shit. But when it comes to black issues, y'all, what I've learned, people outside of our community really don't give a fuck because it don't affect them. So maybe some of these teachers don't know about Jim Crow in detail, but she's teaching social studies shit. Maybe some of these teachers don't know about Jim Crow in detail. Maybe they don't know about the slave codes in detail. Maybe they don't know about redlining in detail. Maybe they don't know about these systematic endeavors that have played a large part in us being in the position that we're in today. Maybe for whatever reason they don't know about it, but I would say if you have a white teacher at a predominantly black school or a predominantly school with minorities, I don't like to use that word, but a school with Mexicans, black kids, Asian kids, maybe they need a crash course on the other side of the history of this country. Maybe that'll help them out a little bit, because tomorrow I don't foresee all the teachers in the schools being black. I would like that. I would like that black youth would see being a teacher as a viable source of income, being a cool thing to do like a rapper or a goddamn entertainer. God knows we need more black teachers, right? And in some instances, they still don't hire the black teachers, but we need more of them. So in an idealistic world, that would be the best way to approach it. But as of right now, I don't know if that's going to be the case. It seems like we still going to be left with a lot of these white teachers who, some of them are just indifferent about our circumstances. So maybe they should figure out ways to teach them. But at the end of the day, if they don't, right, because I'm not going to rely on nobody outside of our community to help us. If they don't, then it's up to you to give your child crash courses in how this world works. These type of news stories is one of them, family. So I hope this lady get fired and lose her job and never be able to teach melanated children again, but that's not likely. More than likely she'll get hired somewhere else, but it's up to the black people there, the black people in that community, to hold that teacher accountable and teach your kid. If you're being talked to unfairly, if you're being treated with like a racist undertone, tell your family. Tell your parents. And black parents, you better go up to that school and raise hell. You better go up to that school and make sure, the whole goal is to make sure some shit like that don't happen to no other kids. You know what I mean? So goddamn, man, this country is a trip, boy. All right. So, last news story. Then I'm gonna talk about the cancel culture. My boy Ice Cube. I'm gonna talk about that for a minute. But I want to talk about this real quick because I've actually read a book about this. That's a really, really, really good book that I think everybody should read. So check it out. The city of Glendale is looking to the future by recognizing its past. Residents urge the Glendale City Council to pass a resolution apologizing for its history as a sundown town, making it the first to do so in California. Now, Glendale's history as a sundown town means for decades, blacks and other groups were prevented from being around at nighttime, from living there through formal and informal methods. Now, The Coalition for Anti-Racist Glendale asked the city to pass a resolution to confront its history. What they say is it's justice, and it's God's eyes justice is the most beloved thing, said Carol McGrath, a coalition member who has lived in Glendale for 17 years. McGrath, a black woman, has experienced racism as a Glendale resident as recent as 2 years ago when she was walking to the grocery store. I was walking past Wilson and Jackson, and some young people yelled out, "You better get off the street, lady. It's safer after sundown." You better get off the street, lady. It's after sundown, McGrath recalled. City leaders presented a report during a September board meeting about Glendale's history as a sundown town. In the report, they found hate crimes reported in newspaper from the 1900s through the 1990s. The Ku Klux Klan and American Nazi Party were active in the city for decades, and non-whites were prohibited from being buried in Glendale's Forest Lawn Memorial Park into the 1960s. Also, the report also found that the city's black population has been intentionally kept low because of homeowner pledges to only sell to white people. In 1940, Glendale was cited by the California Real Estate Association for being worthy of singular praise in its utilization of measures to keep it a 100% Caucasian race community. So this news story was extremely important to me because on past shows I've talked about sundown towns and how over hundreds of cities throughout the United States there were these sundown towns. I'm going to read a few of them for you here in a minute, but hundreds of cities throughout the United States, if not thousands, were sundown towns where basically if you were caught in this town after dark and you were black, they killed your ass. And most of them would have signs that read, "Nigga, don't let the sun down, don't let us find you here," basically, when the sun go down. You got to sundown to be out of town. And a lot of towns, dig this, y'all, a lot of towns would have a bell that they ring at sundown to alert all niggas in the city, you gotta get up out of here, right? In the book, which I highly recommend everybody get in this book, it's called Sundown Towns by James Lowen. James Lowen, yeah. Lowen, I think it is, but James Lowen. Look that up. Sundown Towns by James Lowen. It's a pretty big book. It's like 500 and some pages, but it's an extremely good read, and it goes over how how these sundown towns were maintained, right? So it wasn't just through real estate. So that was one part of it, where the real estate agents just wouldn't show you houses there, period. That's part of the redlining. That's part of the redlining. The real estate agents just wouldn't show you houses there, right? Also, you would have the community there. So let's say a black person did move to the community, right? They would have the neighbors would leave a burning cross in your lawn. The neighbors would make sure their kids harassed their kids on the way to school. The neighbors would make sure if you're walking around town or if you were at a grocery store, they'd fuck your car up. You know what I mean? It was like a extremely community effort they used to use to do this shit, family. So what I learned from reading the book is they put forth a valued effort to make sure these towns remained all white. A valued effort. And then they had this cognitive dissonance where they didn't even see it like that. They didn't even see it like black people didn't live there because they made them stay out. They seen it as black people didn't want to live there because they couldn't afford to, or because they didn't have enough money, and all these other reasons. But in actuality, they would do whatever they needed to get the black person out. So again, let's say one black person slipped through the cracks and they actually got the house there on the corner, right? The neighbors, working in unison, would do everything they can to make every day you fucking living there a living hell until most families just left, right? Before one of them would end up getting hurt, they would end up just moving out altogether. That would be, like I said, they'd fuck with your car. They leave a cross burning in your house. They would throw pipe bombs in your windows, right? And then you would call the police, like, hey, somebody tried to kill us last night, basically, and they hella nonchalant about the shit, like, hey, nigga, you shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So, and like I read the article because the lady that's on this commission, the lady that's a part of this coalition, Carol McGrath, she says 2 years ago, this is 2018 now, 2 years ago, some teenagers yelled to her, "You better get out of here because it's almost sundown." So Another thing the book made clear that we say they used to be sundown towns, but most of these cities are the most racist places you can still go to today. So I'm in California. Let me read a couple, and it's in California. It's like 1,200 of them, I think. But let me read a couple of cities in California that was listed as sundown towns, and still may be. We have Anaheim, Antioch, Bakersfield, Berkeley, Burbank, Compton, Chico, Costa Mesa, Culver City, East Palo Alto, Folsom, Fresno, Glendale, Grass Valley, Inglewood, Marysville, Rockland, Riverside, right? That's just to name a few. I could have named like 15, 20 more, family. You know what I mean? So, man, when we look at what we've had to go through in this country being black folks, being melanated people, there has been a systematic effort to keep us where we are, and as we can see, the citizens help sometime too. This shit ain't always about a government sanctioned program that's keeping us disempowered. Sometimes it's the citizens too. It's white citizens too who don't want you living around them, because that's why I think today America is more segregated than ever. If you don't believe me, look at the communities in America. Look how many communities we still have today where we don't live around each other, family. It may seem like it, but we don't. We shop with each other. We go to the movies with each other. We fuck each other at times. But as far as living, black and white people living around each other in large numbers, it just don't happen. And when you look at that, when you look at some of these cities I just mentioned, if you go on Wikipedia and look at the size of their town or the amount of black residents this town has, you're going to see 2%, 3%, 4%, 6%, 5%. Do you know why? The Sundown Town policies. We couldn't live there, family. So when a lot of people talk about the ghettos in America, in these underserved communities that we live in, a lot of the time we were pushed to these communities. Nothing you're looking at in this country is by happenstance, family. All of this shit was constructed. All of it. So when motherfuckers tell me ain't no more racism or I don't see color, you need to quit worrying about race, I'm sorry, family. It's been embedded into the fabric of this country. I didn't make it that way. We didn't make it that way. That's just how this country created it. You feel me? So we need to know. Do me a favor, get that book, family. James Loewen, Sundown Town. James Loewen, Sundown Town. Read that book. You never know. You might live, and I'm laughing because this shit is crazy. You might live in a fucking Sundown Town. If you do, you better be aware, family. You better be aware of your surroundings. You better be aware of who you calling your neighbors, who you calling your friends. You see? They can, because again, these policies aren't as out in the open as they used to be, but they're still there. So as black folks, we need to be aware of who's around us at all times. That's why, and I seen this story and it poked out to me like a sore thumb because I'm an advocate and a big proponent of reading about history and knowing history. Some people think it's boring or think you can't really do anything with that information, but bullshit. It can hip you to a lot of things you're looking at. For me, it just helps create my perspective of what I see in this country, right? All right, so that was the last news story, family. So let's talk about Cube real quick for a second, family. So here's the thing. And many people have been talking about this topic, but I got to get my 2 cents because I rock with Cube. I rock with what he's trying to do. And here's the problem, family. We live in a culture where all of us have phones. All of us have a voice, so to speak, about what takes place. So that's why when I look at the internet and the things that I see, I'm looking at everything with a grain of salt. But this whole cancel culture, this culture we live in now where somebody can say one thing wrong or somebody can do something that's perceived wrong and we just jump down their throat. We need to do, all of us need to do a better job of figuring out what the fuck is really going on. Because as Ice Cube has been doing interviews, making his rounds to talk about this shit, I still see black people saying, fuck Cube. Oh, he a part of the Trump cabinet right now. Oh, fuck Cube. He working with Trump. Family, the details of the situation is this. Ice Cube created a plan for black America, and for the record, he didn't do this plan by himself. He sat with finance professors, he sat with people who do this shit for a living, and came to certain conclusions about what we needed, right? Trump, because of, in my opinion, because of all the social unrest and because all the pressure in society, created this bullshit ass platinum plan for black America. And because Cube put it out there that this is something he was trying to do, he offered to sit with both candidates. He offered to sit with Biden and the Democrats. They told him, wait. They said, yeah, that shit you got look cool, but let us get elected first. Then we'd talk about it, which was bullshit. Trump's people, not Trump. Cube did not sit down across from a table with Trump to have this conversation. He spoke with Trump's people, and they said they'll look at his plan. They'll include some of the shit from his plan into their platinum plan. But Cube ain't gung-ho about this shit working. He's not trusting in Trump to get this shit done. He don't believe in him like that. We all know how politicians work. But family, if we want to see change in this country, what the fuck are we supposed to do, right? We live in this quote unquote democracy where politicians at the lower scale and the higher scale, they control policies. They control the policies that affect our day-to-day lives. If you are to get reparations for us, if you are to get a plan specifically for black people, who the fuck are we to go to? Now, of course, I understand that as a people, we got to unify with each other. We got to be on code with each other to make sure some of this shit can work out properly for us anyway. But at the end of the day, Cube just doing his best to try to help black folks. Motherfuckers online like, fuck you, he ain't doing shit for us. Dude, how many of y'all, when it ain't political season, how many of y'all doing shit for y'all community? How many of y'all volunteering? How many of y'all part of an organization? How many of y'all look into the history of our people and make sure you teach it to your kids? I'm getting tired of all these armchair quarterbacks who only come out when they see some shit they don't like. I don't see you online giving props to people on a day-to-day basis. But when there's some negative shit pop up, everybody jump on the bandwagon to hate somebody. And a lot of y'all, and I've been here too, family. You see a news headline, you see another news headline that's the same, you jump on it and make a comment. Did you research the validity of the news story? Do we understand that some of these news organizations, these right-wing news organizations, some of the democratically ran news organizations, they telling us bullshit to kind of shit on the other side. They are slanting some of these stories to make it look like we be on some bullshit. You know what I mean? That's why it's important at the end of the day, family. If we had a code of conduct, none of this shit would be happening. If we had a code that we stuck to, meaning I'm going to give every black person a fair shot. I'm not just going to jump down your back when I see a news report by somebody white saying what you did. I'm going to take 15, 20 minutes and just research the shit. Hear his words. In Cube's words, he never said I'm working with the Trump party or the Trump campaign. He never said I'm voting for Donald Trump. He didn't say any of that shit. He didn't say any of that shit. I had a plan for Black America. They looked at the plan. They took a little bit out of my plan, added into the platinum plan that they have now. Are they going to implement it? Are they going to make sure we get everything in that plan? I don't know. These are his words. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to make sure I put something forth because we're in a democratic, or we're in a democracy where somebody's going to get voted into office. Somebody is. And if Trump is in there for 4 more years, in my opinion, it ain't gonna be the worst thing. Shit, he was in there 4 years. We survived it pretty good to me. You know what I mean? So me personally, I'm not fucking with either candidate. Now I know people say you gotta vote for one or you're doing your ancestors a disservice. I don't believe in any of that. I don't do the lesser of the two evils, and I'm not fully. I haven't fully grasped the concept of holding a politician accountable. Like I said a little bit earlier, how in the fuck are you supposed to do that? After you give them your vote, they're in office now. So what do? Follow them around and make sure they don't lie to you no more? How do you actually physically, because a lot of this shit sounds good. How do you physically hold a politician accountable? You call them on their bullshit? Now, how do we do that from a very local level? So I'm just a regular person in America who voted for Trump or voted for Biden. How do I hold him accountable? I see he's lying on TV. I see he's not putting forth the policies he said he was going to do. What could I do to make him do it? Is there a way? No. There's no fucking way to make a politician do shit. You already gave him your vote. How about we come together and vote as one block of black folks, vote as as one block of black folks, and we give these politicians some money. That's what I say we should do. That's what I say we should slant towards. We give this politician some money. Now you got our money. I think you will be a little more beholden to us if we gave your ass cash. But if all of I'm giving you a vote, they ain't gonna respect that shit. So in any situation, Q, a black man, is just doing what he can to further this movement. Think about it. He's rich. He don't need to help us. He's rich. His family's legacy is going to be straight. But he's choosing to put together this plan, take his time, do all these goddamn interviews, going through all this shit just to try to help us. And niggas still going to shit on him? D.L. Hughley saying that Cube ain't qualified to speak in front of... Bro, sometimes we got to shut the fuck up and not talk about each other. Especially if you're a person of influence in our society, your words mean something. Call somebody. Hit somebody in the DM. Get the details. Because he making it sound like Cube just went up there on some rapper NWA shit. No. He had a well thought out plan, he was helped and he was provided that plan by his own thinking and several people around him who he gathered around him who are finance PhDs. Dr. Boyce Watkins was helping him. Claude Anderson was helping him. Other people was helping him. People who do this shit every day. So he on point. So why the first thing we do when we see somebody black, why are we so negative all the time? You know what I mean? Like, let's be responsible with our fucking phones, man. Now, I know you can comment on something and nobody see your face. You can just be this inanimate object in the goddamn Twitter sphere where you can say whatever you want to say. But how about we act like you right there in front of somebody? How about we take accountability for our words? How about we do a little fucking more research? You know what I mean? Now, I personally, when I go online and I see everybody shitting on Cuban, I'm like I said, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt because I know this is just niggas with phones. No correct ideology about how the world works. No research done. Just a nigga with a phone saying whatever you want to say, right? And that's cool, but how about we take 10, 15 minutes, do a little more research. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, try to spread, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but try to spread some goddamn love instead of always looking to cancel somebody. And like I said before, family, we don't have the ability to cancel anybody, right? We ain't got the ability to cancel anybody, and then it'd be full of shit because the shit only lasts like 2 weeks. How long do we cancel Gucci? How long do we cancel Cosby, R. Kelly? We canceling out all these people for 1 week, 2 weeks just because they said something we didn't like or we're being fed some news about them that we didn't like. How about we try unifying? How about we try and giving your brother or your sister the benefit of the doubt? Not just when it's time to shake your ass and play some music and do all this nigga shit, but no, when it's time for critical thought, sometime we need to shut the fuck up, gather a little more information, and then make your assertion, right? Instead of just going online and spewing all this bullshit rhetoric when Ice Cube is doing nothing but trying to help us at the end of the day. Can we agree on that part? Everybody want to get into the details where he shouldn't be doing it. He shouldn't have went and saw Trump. He shouldn't have. Get all the details of the situation first. Then you can make an assessment. You know what I mean? Because can we agree that we're in a fucked up spot in this country? We've been this way for a really long time. We should be willing to try anything at this point. Whoever we need to talk to. And like Cube said, he going on these radio shows. And these radio shows already have a particular slant. Because he went on like Roland Martin's show. And Roland Martin is a Democrat. So his whole ideology is the Democrats already presented Trump with some of these things you already tried to present. Then somebody else told him, basically, nigga, you ain't qualified to talk about this shit. How fucking dare you? Somebody told him, you jumped ahead of the line. The line? What are we talking about? Is this shit about helping black folks or is it about getting more political clout for ourselves? Is this shit about helping black folks or is this shit about furthering our standing in the political atmosphere? You know what I mean? Like, dude, there's way too much division in our community. In times like this, watching what happened to Cube, times like this, it's obvious we got a lot of fucking work to do. Because before he talked to Trump, Most people I see online, they was with him. Cube got a plan for Black America. That's what's up. He want to see us do right. That's what's up. So you find out he go meet with a racist white man to talk about the options. Now let me ask you a question. What if he would have talked to Biden? A racist white man nonetheless. So what's his options? Where is the fair white man that he can go talk to get all this shit accomplished? There isn't one, right? He got to deal with a closet racist. He got to deal with an open. So you should be able to do business with anybody, family, regardless if you like him or not. That's black folks shit. We all hella emotional. Oh, you got to like him. I don't like him. I don't like. So what? Well, is he going to help solve your problems? Is he going to help? I mean, is he going to help negate some of this goddamn turmoil that we got in our community that we actually need help with? Because if we're not just finna unify and say fuck the United States and go somewhere on our own and start all of our own shit, if we're not going to do that, then we need to be aware of this system that we're in. We need to attempt to work with politicians in this system, even though it may be tiresome, even though it may prove to be fruitless. We got to try something. So anybody in politics, which I'm not well versed in, anybody in politics who feel they need to go work with a politician, anybody in Cube's position, which is a wealthy black man in this country, so he has seen the other side of shit to a degree. If he feel it's necessary for him to go talk to Trump or whoever, I'm with my brother, man. That's the first place I start. It seems like online, we just hell-bent on getting sound bites. We just hell-bent on being critical of whoever, no matter what the fuck. And this is something I'm learning by being on YouTube, by starting my platform. You wouldn't be amazed how many comments I get on, I don't mind having a conversation with anybody, but how many fucking disrespectful comments I get. I'm like, dude, if we was face to face, I ain't never had a man speak to me the way I have motherfuckers come at me on social media, online. I'm like, we need to get rid of all that shit. Parents, teach your kids to talk on the internet the same way you would talk to somebody in their face. I ain't gonna say shit about you online or in a particular way online that I wouldn't say to your face. I'm gonna be as respectful as I would be online as I would be on your face. That is some grade A sucker shit. The internet is turning niggas into hoes, and that's just real. However you talk in real life is how you should talk to another man. I don't care if I posted something you didn't like. I don't care if I said something in my video you didn't like. I don't give a fuck, really. You know what I mean? You can comment me. I'm not finna write you no long-ass diatribe. You can come on my show. We can talk about it. But I'm not finna write you no long-ass paragraph about why you wrong and why. You ain't gotta like my views, family. But you gonna be respectful. If you expect me to talk back to you, if you expect me to have a dialogue, then you gotta be respectful. You can't be just commenting some old fuck shit. That's the generation we in, family. So as adults, we need to be more level-headed. You shouldn't be a 40-year-old motherfucker just tweeting some stupid shit. Just going on Facebook and research it. What if your kids is watching? What if young people are watching your actions? Do a little more research. Find out exactly what's going on with the topic before you display whatever your opinion is. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I'm with Cube or any black person who is trying to bring our issues to the table, who are trying to get us reparations, who is trying to level the playing field in this rotten-ass country. I'm with them, no matter who they are. Who's to say who's qualified and who ain't qualified? We can't say who's qualified. We can't say who has talked to so-and-so. We don't know that, family. You know what I mean? So do a little more research. Figure out what the fuck you're talking about before you just dip your feet in it. We have too much information online to just be speaking about shit aimlessly. Unless that's what you want to do. Unless you just want to say some shocking shit so everybody can be like, ooh. How about be right and correct? How about we spread real information? How about we spread shit that's going to move the culture forward? How about we be as supportive as we need to when our brothers are going through shit? That's why a code of conduct is so necessary in our community. We need to love each other. We need to hear each other out. We need to think black before anything else. Everybody arguing over Biden and Trump. If you're a black person who voting for Trump, more power to you. If you're a black person who's voting for Biden, more power to you. I'm not going to question you about why you did it. I'm not going to call you a racist. I'm not going to call you a coon. I'm not going to call you any of that. My question, though, is how do you feel about black people? Do you put black people and black issues above anything else you're affiliated with, above your religious affiliation, above your job title, before you are a gamma or an alpha or any goddamn fraternity? As long as you look me in my face and let me know that we in this struggle together, I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what you do, really. You know what I mean? Gay, not gay, I don't fuck about none of that. How you feel about black folks? Okay, can we start walking the same way together? As long as we walking the same way together, we can have all kind of differences. We gonna have differences, y'all. We're not always gonna be on the same page about everything. But as long as we can agree on the primary thing, then we good. You feel me? So this has been another episode, man, of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the show. If this is your first time watching the show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. If you're watching this video on Instagram, if you're watching it on Facebook, please like the video, share the video. If you haven't been to the website in a while, which is melanatedfathers.com, go to the website today. Check out what we do. It's been a good show, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody who reaches out to me, man, who support me. This is a thankless job, right? I'm a black man who is used to being in corporate America. So starting my own platform, getting my own stuff off the ground, it's been a beautiful experience. Thank you to everybody who supports me, who sends me messages, who sends me DMs. Sometimes I get those DMs at times where I want to stop, or I'm tired of talking, or I'm tired, you know what I mean? But y'all lift me up, and I definitely appreciate that. This has been another episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'm out.